pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so it sounds like, excuse me, I've got a cold, so I'm really raspy tonight. It sounds like we've got a really interesting opportunity in the works. This is in the scoping phase at this point. And so I've had a conversation with the engineer and the two principal partners involved in this project this afternoon to try and get calibrated on what their goal is and what they need from us in order to achieve their goal. As I started, what preempted the phone call is, as I started comparing what was in the ordinance compared to what was in the drawings, there were a number of disconnects regarding the variances that were requested. And then digging through the variance section of our zoning book, an ordinance is not allowed to be written as a variance. So they would need to go through the variance process in order to get a variance. So just with that in mind, I felt compelled to call them and say, what do you really need? You know, where are we at in this phase? So in speaking with them, they are still in the scoping phase. They are not in the preliminary plan phase where they would need to get us involved. And they're really not ready to commit to any zoning variances yet. What they need is a firm commitment from the village that we will be flexible with our zoning and that we'll be flexible with our billing, if you will, as far as meter fees and application fees and things of that nature to help prime the pump so that they can qualify for these grants. So within this grant, it's called the RED grant. It's a state-offered grant to provide workforce housing. And they've got a whole series of boxes to check. The more boxes to check, the more points they get, the more likely they are to get the amount of money they're asking for. And this money is to be used for infrastructure development, which is a huge burden in trying to create a housing development. I mean, it is ridiculous. So, in speaking with them, you know, they kind of came to the realization that they, you know, preempted, they encouraged getting this ordinance going, thinking that that was the right path. And I'm like, once we make it an ordinance, it's carved in stone. Like, and right now it doesn't match what your drawings have. I'm like, and the engineer's like, well, we're not even sure that the drawing's what we want. I'm like, you're not ready for this then. So what they really need is a letter of affirmation from the village stating that we will work rigorously to support them. And if we want to further that statement to say that the village has agreed to waive the first 100 meter fees and the first 100 application fees, whatever, you know, that's kind of between you guys. Lana agreed that she would draft a letter for you or Brian to work through and review and approve. Whether or not you want to get council involved, that's out of my jurisdiction. I don't know how that game works, but
well, let me throw this in here.
Yeah.
First of all, Wednesday night we have two ordinances that we'll look to pass.
Okay.
The first ordinance deals with, it states that it's an ordinance establishing the Antwerp Square Housing District and adopting pro-housing development policies. And it just says that the Council of Antwerp wishes to qualify for maximum funding under the Ohio Residential Economic Development District Grant Program by enacting pro-housing policies as defined in the Ohio Revised Code 122.636, and that the Council of the Village of Antwerp finds said pro-housing development policies as listed below to be necessary and appropriate in the case of the Antwerp Square project. And then it talks about the grant.
further down below, it talks about the zoning variances and the waiving of the fees.
It talks about waiving of the fees
Yeah,
and things
section
like
4.
that. Yeah, and stuff.
Yeah, section 4 is in contradiction to our current zoning regulations.
Well,
And it doesn't match their drawings. So,
well, I mean, this is based on the approval of our solicitor, number one, but more importantly, it is based on their request from us.
I know, and Lana apologized for getting a little rammy because she didn't connect the dots between the drawings and what she was trying to put together there.
Okay, so then the second ordinance is the village authorizing me to pursue the grant. Okay, because
Right,
the village is going to be, in
The
essence,
applicant,
the
right.
applicant for the grant.
right.
The CIC has agreed to donate $25,000. We have an ordinance that would ask the village to do the same
Right.
for the matching 50. We can do that, and we can exclude this ordinance if that's what they want. But we've got to do, at minimum, the one ordinance, or they won't be able to pursue the grant.
I don't know that it's required to have an ordinance, right? And so,
It is required, number one, by law, but it's required in order for me to do it.
okay. So the only really bone of contention here, again, I'm trying to stay in my lane, I'm not trying to mow anybody down, but the only contention I have is that you are making zoning variances in an ordinance, and that is not allowed. It's not allowed. Take it out. Period. And it'll be fine. And they're not ready to make the zoning variances anyway.
Well, what I need to do is I need to give Lana a call and stuff, because
Yeah, that's
this
fine.
wasn't communicated to me.
No, I know.
And I was going based on the premise of what they had given me last week to get done.
Yeah, well, this is all 11th hour stuff, right? So I
Yeah.
just called him this afternoon. I'm like, this doesn't fit together, Who's directing traffic here? That was my main concern. Who's directing traffic? And what do you need? And they're like, well, we're not ready to commit to any zoning variances. I'm like, well, then we don't want this in here. Like, I guarantee the village will play ball. The zoning variances are asking for are pretty minor.
Yeah, they are.
Those are no big deal. The big deal is
And we need
getting the
this to
funding and getting the grant.
And we need to.
And making sure that we have
Yeah.
enough things
Want
in
this to
place to
happen.
qualify
Right.
for the grant. So whatever that is, find that happy medium, but we can't put variances that they don't want right now into an ordinance, because then it's carved in stone.
Who's the Lana you're talking about?
Beverly Housing.
Yeah, Lana Bergzazi.
She owns,
No, she's one of the principals.
she owns where all these apartments and stuff are being built. She owns that section of land. So there's Bruce Meyer, and then there's Lana. All right, so what I'll do is I will call Lana either tonight or in the morning and just say, hey, look, we're gonna do an ordinance that establishes my ability to seek this grant.
Yep.
Which you need for many reasons, but you also need it for points.
Right.
What else do you need? Because we were gonna do another ordinance, and my understanding is you may not need that, and if you don't need it, we're not gonna do it.
Yeah,
And if we're
so,
gonna do it, we have to change it.
yeah, so kind of the next steps. If and when they get the grant, then they have the money allocated to do the engineering phase of all this. Then they can go in and truly map out what all the setbacks and right-of-ways and sidewalks and lighting and fire hydrants and water line capacity, sewer capacity, all this stuff's gotta be figured out, at least at a 90% level, before they're even close to being shovel ready. So, but that takes a fair amount of money. So this is still scoping phase, and then if and when they get the grant is to be used for the planning phases. And then they'll come back to this group with a preliminary plan review, which should include all of those things. What's the utility situation look like, and that kind of stuff.
So if we did the one ordinance I was just talking about, we'd take out section 3 and 4.
And which one is 3? Is that the one that dealing with the fees?
Yes, that deals with the fees, which I don't think, well, it also deals with zoning and planning commission review fees. So it's just more than just. taps
Again, I'm
and
okay
meters.
with that, right? I mean, that's an executive decision that, if that's what you guys would like to do, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
I mean, it's all gonna come, it's an investment, right?
Yep.
These are all gonna be workers paying taxes, so, we'll get that
Money back
50
easy.
bucks
Yeah.
back or whatever it is in no
Yeah.
time, that's,
Okay, so that's all we'd have to do if we even did that one. But
Yeah.
my feeling is, if it's not needed, we don't do it.
they don't, they don't need that at this phase, other than a commitment to say that we will support.
Yeah, there is, I think, a letter for the mayor to sign, and then the ordinance, because we have to do the ordinance again
Right.
to apply for the grant, but also to show that we're going to put 25,000 towards the overall cost, so.
You know, so some of this is all uncharted territory for a lot of people, right? A lot included, us included. You know, it's just methodically keep clawing our way through this.
That 25,000 got to be approved by the council?
Yes,
And that's what you're wanting to do Wednesday?
yes.
Next
We
Wednesday?
talked about it at the last meeting.
Okay. I
The
didn't-
problem is the state, this is a new grant, this is not an old grant.
Right.
And the state kept making promises they would have the parameters out, you know, by a certain time and stuff, and it didn't get done. So now it's all crammed
Last
in.
minute.
Yeah, so the grant opening date is December 16th to file.
Right.
First person who filed gets a little extra points.
Right.
So it's my understanding is you have to qualify, it's my understanding you have to be a county of less than 70,000. You have to be located near a major work site, and I don't really know the clarifications. How we qualify is that new toilet paper, paper towels
State
plant.
categorized as mega site.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mega site. Yep, so that's
20
what
miles away,
qualifies.
I think.
So, and then I think there's only 10 million that can be awarded in 2025, and then in 26, I think it's 15. But a lot of the people, there's like 37, there's only 37 potential
Applicants.
applicants. But
And 25.
no, right now,
Oh.
that could qualify, 37. But they would not, a lot of them would not be as far along as what this project is because of how long they've been working on it or we've been working on it. So they really, I mean, they've done a great job to get to this point, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But, so that's kind of where we're at. It's nerve-wracking.
Yeah, so some of the stuff that we need to be kind of thinking about and working on in the background, Brian, is, you know, this is like a 40%, ultimately, a 40% increase in the number of dwelling units. And, you know, what is our capacity with sewer, you know, managing sewer? What is our capacity for dealing with storm runoff? And what is our capacity for delivering water out to that?
Yeah,
Right,
I
so
mean, we've
that'll be in the next round
Yeah,
of
but I
stuff.
mean,
That's
we've-
what that next round is about.
we've been working through this for almost 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
And stuff, so, I mean, we've looked at water capacity, sewer capacity, storm runoff capacity, we've looked at all that. And, I mean, there's some minor changes, you know, like on Harmon Road, they probably have to add a pump to the lift station. But other than that, I mean, we consume 130,000 gallons in a 24-hour period of time, and we can produce anywhere from 800,000 to 1 million gallons
Oh, yeah,
in that same
close.
time. So we're flush with water and stuff. Sewer maybe, I mean, with the EPA, I mean, we just got a lot going on, so.
Yeah, these two green areas, those are both retention ponds
Right.
for runoff off of the streets and the rooftops and stuff. Because I talked to him about it, I wasn't sure what area A was. He said, well, that's another retention pond because the ground is so flat there
Mhm.
that they can't get it to flow all into one pond, so they had to break it up. 'Cause I thought that was gonna be another development in that area, I wasn't sure, so that's the reason dotted lines around there is to be a retention area. Help with the storm sewer side of it
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah, and then the other thing that just kind of crept into my mind is, you know, if we start building near this capacity, we're probably going to be thinking about putting a red light out on 49 at Meyer Road. There's going to be a lot of cars pull out of there.
Well, that would be no doubt,
Yeah.
Yeah.
wouldn't be us.
Yeah, and our second problem would be the traffic that we're gonna generate going down Water Plant Drive, because they have another exit coming out that
Oh, yeah.
way.
Mhm.
And that drive is not anywhere near capacity for,
It's not anywhere near standard, right?
yeah, you can't put two cars about both of them running off of the berm.
Most dirt lanes are.
14-foot wide road, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there another off of Harmon?
Yeah, just
There is.
one entrance on Harmon.
too. Cause they've got Meyer Road going and then they've got Street C headed that way. I don't know if that's gonna happen.
No, I think.
That's towards the future development.
Okay, C curves and comes back to Meyer, that, okay.
Oh, right there. Yeah. Right there, where it comes around.
Any other questions? Or-
Well,
I don't think so.
yeah, I think we need to work with them, for sure.
Well, yeah.
So,
My suggestion, I guess, would be, is to try and create, say, a folder on our website or do construction, whether it be subdivisions, homes, duplexes. Because like these, a lot of these are secured, they're in the archives side of it. And if somebody wants to build something, they can't access it easily if they don't even know it even exists.
Well, yeah, I mean, if they go to zoning and they look on the zoning section of the website, it has a zoning manual book, ordinance, whatever we call it, and there is a section in there that subdivision rules. So it's not archived. So the same thing you looked at is on the website in a PDF. So they can open up and look at it. I'm pretty certain. Because I think we loaded that a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's there. I mean, I printed it. I don't remember when, but
We haven't taken it down, I can tell you that. So if it's up there, or was, it still is.
it's kind of a jumbled up mess, but we have it.
At least we know where it's at.
If I try to search subdivisions, nothing will come up in the zoning book.
Well, subdivisions is a separate section. And I'm looking, and it may be that it's not on here. I gotta get through the 80 pages to,
Yeah, 94, 16, and 17.
What did you say the ordinance number was on that, 93?
94-16 and 17.
I'll have to look on a computer.
And that's where they talk about preliminary plan meetings and roadway, right-of-ways and roadway widths.
Yes, yes, so that's, these ordinances were wrote back in 1994. That's where the number system
Right.
comes from. I don't believe they're in our ordinance book. I can find it. Which I think at one time we talked about, we didn't want to put ordinances in the zoning book because then you've got two different ordinances and zoning, so, and then we create a folder to where it would show both, that would, something, because, you know, we have other contractors gonna come in and they're gonna look for housing restrictions in subdivisions or whatever. Or square footage limitations.
you said that was,
94-16 and 94-17.
I have it in my office. I'm not sure, it may not be on the website, Bill, I may be absolutely wrong. I mean, I think the 94-16, the big one, the 80-page one is on there. The regular
No,
zoning
16 and
book.
17 are just subdivision. They're both like 3 pages each.
Okay,
Both of them together right there.
okay. All right. We'll get it loaded.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we're done with this matter, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Did we have any other business to discuss?
I assume everyone got the email on Daniel's resignation.
Did not.
What?
When did it go out?
The
I
other
know
day,
you
I thought
talked to me,
he,
said I see my email, though I seen the one email on this project. I didn't see.
Well, which is funny because the last time we had a meeting, we thought he had resigned.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got a fiery email saying that he hadn't, and now he has, so I don't know.
Well,
Yeah, I
let me
didn't
look,
get anything from you today.
because he contacted me and I said, you need to notify the mayor, you need to notify the fiscal officer, and you need to notify the members of the zoning board. And he said he would. And he sent an email out. I thought he copied everybody. That's why I didn't even bother looking, because there was several names on it.
No, because he, yeah,
Resignation, let's see.
I thought we were crazy for paying him when he wasn't here anyway.
You did a pretty good job of picking and choosing what he was gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, he sent it only to the mayor and to Bill.
I don't believe I got it.
Well, he may not have sent it to the right email address. Yes, so he's done.
Okay. That's not gonna be an easy spot to fill.
But I'm not the mayor.
Me too.
I'm glad I'm not mayor.
The old adage, shit rolls downhill.
I don't know what we'll do.
Well, I think it's like Bill and I have talked. I think you have to define what it is you want. First of all, I don't think your zoning manager should be attending these meetings. You guys should be the ones that put together the information to make the rules, to have an ordinance created, to have reviewed by council. The zoning inspector shouldn't be a part of that, and he alluded to that in his letter. Number one. And then number two is I don't think you're going to get a zoning inspector and a person that's going to enforce the zoning rules. I've had a conversation with George, and we're going to talk next week and take a look at ordinances that are already in place that, you may be able to hire a zoning enforcement officer that would work 10 hours a week under the oversight of the chief of police. And all they do is go out and they make sure there's not infractions, and if they are, they take and do whatever's necessary, and if it requires the person to come to court, then they would come through mayor's court. And then you would have a zoning inspector that is completely separate from that function. It's kind of, or you can do like Paulding. There's the ordinance. Got a problem? Take your neighbor to court. They don't enforce anything.
Yeah.
Which I'm not advocating that. George and I have gotten pretty good about, people need to mow the lawns and jump cars and, and stuff like that. We go and ride around every couple of weeks in the summer and we look, make notes. We go knock on the door. Well, he does. Knocks on the door and tells them to get it taken care of. And seems to kind of work a lot better than sending letters.
So if we go with like what you suggest, somebody to implement fines or whatever, so then what's the zoning inspector gonna do? Just go around and check fair stakes,
Well-
make sure it's in place, or the,
Well, but somebody's got to review the applications and so once you come in and you want to build a house, okay, there's stuff I have to have. I have to have an application filled out. I have to have a check based on the square footage of the house. And then I have to take it and I have to create a zoning permit and have Daniel sign it. And then I got to take it, I got to make duplicate copies. I got to send one to the auditor's office so that they can put it on the tax roll. And then I got to get all the information with the check to the fiscal officer, so he has documentation and he can deposit it in the zoning account. So there's things that have to be done that,
you're doing now for a zoning inspector.
yeah.
That's what I was getting at. What is his actual role if he's not in part of the enforcement of it?
Well,
whatever
it's whatever you dictate or design. If you want somebody that handles what I do, they don't really have to have any experience. But if you want someone that's going to sit down and review these prints and understand the zoning and how it relates to the prints, that's a whole different conversation and stuff. Gabe used to have them send, like Dollar General or whatever, send in these prints, and I mean, it was like $300 to have them shipped and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know how you're reviewing that. You're not an engineer. You're not licensed. How is it not a liability if you sign off on the prints and there's something wrong? It's like people want us to do letters of occupancy. And Daniel and I talked, and I said, we should not be doing that. I said, you're not a licensed electrician, plumber, HVAC, none of that. So you go and you give a letter of occupancy and it burns down the next day. The contractor's off the hook because you gave the letter of occupancy. So, I mean, it all depends on what you want and how much you're willing to spend. So,
So it's something we need to start thinking about
Oh, yeah.
before we can get somebody, I guess, so they know what they're getting into.
I think somebody, if I was gonna spend the money, I wouldn't necessarily spend it per se on the zoning inspector. I mean, you gotta name somebody so they can sign where it says zoning inspector. I'd look more for somebody that could work with the chief on enforcement. Because you have people doing things that require zoning permits, but, I mean, unless you drive every street in this town every day, you just don't know. All of a sudden you drive by and you go, oh, that's interesting, I didn't know that. They were doing it.
Connected 2 days or a fence.
Yeah, and stuff, so you just don't know and stuff, but if you had somebody that did, 10 hours a week, maybe the one day they do 5 hours and the next day, 2 days later, they do 5 hours, however they break it up. But as long as they're working under the chief of police, which is, I think, how our ordinances are set up, then it doesn't fall on the administrator, it doesn't fall on the mayor. There's somebody, you just say, hey, call this person. This is who handles it. The biggest problem right now is we don't really have people you can call. You won't answer. So what I'll do is, after I've had a chance to sit down and visit with George sometime next week and kind of talk and strategize, I'll shoot you guys an email and just say, hey, this is kind of what George and I reviewed, and this is a choice, a possibility. And ultimately, it's the mayor and council that decides whether they're going to fund it and approve it. So, but I guess that's my thoughts for the moment.
Okay.
How much are we paying Daniel?
I think it's $300 a month.
God, that's not very much for headaches.
Well, the problem is, Daniel, in all honesty, was extremely good. Very knowledgeable, very kind. I mean, when I needed something, he was always there. But he's very talented, and he has an extremely good business. And he's all over. I mean, the other day I was talking, he was in Columbus and stuff, doing home inspections. Just crazy. But I guess you're good at it. I mean, I bought a couple of houses, and it's kind of hard to find somebody that's good at it. So.
Okay, one last thing before we break. Is there any update on the hazardous structure zoning provision that we made?
Last time anything was done, it was the last council meeting. It was presented to the village solicitor, and he was given both copies, the original one of 2013 and 13. And then the version that we had come up with,
Right.
he was asked to review them and get back with council as to the legality of the verbiage on them, whether one was superior to the other, or whether it'd be best to compromise and put them both in some sort of a combination. That's what we're at now. I would assume next Wednesday we'll get some.
He will
sort of
not.
update.
He will not be at next Wednesday's meeting.
So there won't be any update next Wednesday.
So we'll give you an update January or thereafter.
Okay.
Bill well. I won't. But yeah, they just recently had a baby, and I don't know. It doesn't even matter why he's not going to be here, but for some reason, he's not going to be at the meeting.
I mean, from a future business standpoint, that was like the last thing that we wanted to kind of check off. Are there any other future business activities that we need to be preparing for?
Not to my knowledge, right now. I'm sure we'll be wading into this next year.
I would expect this will come through in February, March. Probably more like March or
I'm
April.
trying to think of when they.
Did you say January
The
12th?
the state normally gets their budgets allocated and all the grants and stuff settled in March.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think of when they actually make the awards. I don't think, I would not be shocked if notices don't go out by the end of February. Simply because of the urgency of the need.
Right.
Any other grants, you're right, it's usually March, 1st of April. And it may be then too, but I just think that they're,
Yeah, I forgot about that being a little bit more of an urgent matter. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of people here building that thing for a long time.
That's all I got.
Okay. And at this point, I don't even see the need to schedule a meeting until something arises.
I can take it off the
Any
calendar.
consideration? Do we need to?
Yeah, maybe for 2026, I guess there's no need to start it until you have something to address.
Yeah. So we hear back on what's going on with hazardous structures or something arises, right? Okay. Yeah, so Brian, let's just take that off the calendar for the foreseeable. I mean, we'll have meetings again, but
Yeah,
don't know when.
just do it.
Yeah.
Get a call of the board.
Okay. Is there anything else to bring before the group? Not, all in favor? Stand up.